Hey, Grand Horizons. I wanted to tell you a story today. I wanted to tell you a story. Um, it's a little, it's kind of a lot of stories, I suppose, intertwined. Um, but it's mainly the story of my snapdragons, and how they came to be in my garden. Um, I was sat drinking my coffee on my bench this morning, as I do, in my beautiful garden, feeling very grateful, and I happened to notice that they were all coming out, and it kind of transported me back to how they came to be, which in itself is like a pretty cool story. Um, just because, like, just to have a snapdragon in your garden, and you'll see why. You'll see why. Um, so as you can see there, I found some on the floor actually that I think my dog's knocked off a little. Yeah, she's pushed past and snapped them off, and they were on the floor. A bit smooshed now. As you can see, they're a very pretty colour. I couldn't decide. Like, some of them are like kind of purpley bits and pink, so I'm gonna go for fuchsia rather than purple. Oh, kind of fuchsia and yellow. Very pretty. Um, and the story of how they came to be in my garden is that in about 2019, I think time is very wibbly wobbly since the big C happened, since the COVIDs. Like, time just kind of went a bit weird. So I think it was 2019. Um, I wanted to walk the Southwest Coast Path. Um, just because, why not? And I knew I wasn't going to walk the whole thing. I don't know if you know about the Southwest Coast Path, but it is the longest walk in Britain. It, I think it's about 630 miles, and it starts off in like Somerset, in like Minehead, in my invisible map. Maybe I could put one in the video, like, yeah. It starts off in like Minehead in Portsmouth, and it goes all the way around the southwest coast, and it finishes off in like near Portsmouth, I think, Poole or something. I can't quite remember. Poole, I think. Check it out anyway. You do this search engine thing, and it takes about roughly 6 weeks if you're good, if you keep at it every day. It takes about 6 weeks to complete, and I knew that I did not have the time capacity to do 6 weeks. I had a week basically. I did a week. I did one day traveling there. I spent 5 days walking, and then I did a day traveling back. And I think I did about 70 miles. I think I went from Minehead to is it Barnstaple, Barnstaple. British like place names are funny. You could say them in so many ways, and you're probably still wrong. Yeah, Barnstaple. So I think it's about 70 miles anyway in about 5 days. It was pretty cool. I had quite a lot of fun, and I did quite a bit of it barefoot. That was fun. That was fun too with my big backpack. Um, yeah, and it was such a beautiful place. I don't know if you're into the hikings and to different places that we have in England. But wow, when I did it, it was an amazing walk. Beautiful. I could have been like somewhere else, really, other than England. You wouldn't have thought it was England. I did it in October as well, I think. Pretty certain I did it in October, and the weather was amazing. And yeah, you genuinely could have thought that it was like another country, that it was like South America or something. There was parts of it that were like junglified, and you looked out and it was like bright blue sea, and there were like little islands dotted in the distance, and it was amazing. Anyway, so I mean, it was pretty sketchy in places, but it was quite sketchy. I don't know, you know, if you do know about it, like what you knew about it, but a lot of it's actually crumbling into the sea. I had heard it was a bit dangerous when I went to go and do the walk. I did not realise it was as dangerous as it actually was when I got there. There were some bits that were pretty sketchy, and I did the whole Kiyotara thing. I was like, oh, warning sign, like they're just namby-pamby. They don't know how many miles I've walked and what I've climbed. I can do this. And there was a bit where I actually thought I was going to die. I did not tell my kids that when I got. There was some very sketchy bits, like where you are literally on the edge of a cliff. And like there's your path, and your path is about as wide as your feet. And then on the other side is the sea all the way down. Yeah, and it gets really blowy and like windy, and like there was a bit where I was like very grateful for the fact that the cliff I was on was covered in heather. I see now why they call it Lucky Heather, because I was gripping onto this heather for dear life. And there's a bit where I checked my map and I was like, shit, this is where I've got to go. Shit, check my map. And I took my map into my thing, or I must have left it at the bottom because I got to the top and my map had gone. And I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going back down. It was bad enough on the way up. But yeah, anyway, it was fun. It was very fun. Yeah, there were bits where the path like literally just stopped, and I was like, "Shit, where am I supposed to go now?" But luckily, it was like, yeah, they've had to redirect loads of it inland because of just it's quite dangerous apparently. But it was fun. It was fun as fuck. So, and I'm still alive. So there you go. But back to my Snapdragons. Yeah, if you want to do the walk, do the walk. Don't let me put you off with the danger. It was please do it. Please do it. There's there's little sections you can do. Amazing, like just for the day. You don't have to do the whole thing. Just do little sections of it. Highly recommend Viewed. Wow. Wow. Beautiful place. And Tintagel. Oh, I like all the King Arthur stuff. Oh, anyway, like I could talk about it all day. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about my Snapdragons, right? So on the path, like you get taken to all these little magical places. And there was a bit, it was only a couple, I think it was like the second day in, I think. Maybe, third. And it took me, it might have been the first day. I can't fucking remember. Anyway, it took me into this like beautiful churchyard that was called Culbone's Church, and it sort of takes you through all these like little fairy tunnels. That's what they called it. I didn't realise that until I did the research when I got back. Yeah, there was like fairy tunnels and beautiful buildings that were all like thatched and stuff. So it took me into this really tiny. It was tiny. And it was tiny. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And it's really old, apparently. When I did my research afterwards, it's like it was in the Doomsday Book. This Culbone's Church. It is the smallest parish church in Britain. I don't know. I know that there is a smaller one in Wales, but I don't know what the difference is between parish church and just being a church. I don't know. There's categories, I'm sure, in these like world's smallest and world's biggest and world's longest, and there's categories. But anyway, this one apparently is the smallest parish church in Britain, and or maybe it's just England. I'm not sure. Check it out. Anyway, I researched this like a few years ago, so my details might be a bit sketchy. And don't just take my word for it. Look it up if you're interested. Um, and it was like about 11 meters in length. 11 meters. That's tiny when you think about it for an actual church. And even though it's got no road access, they still hold services there. I thought that was beautiful. It was lovely. And I did sit in this church. It was very peaceful. It was very peaceful. And I spent a good hour sitting in that church, actually, which I hadn't planned to do. Because I don't know if you do hiking and whatnots, but usually when you're doing like a set route and you're trying to do it every day, you kind of get like a time frame in your mind. Like I set off at this time and it's going to take me about this many hours to get there, and I take into account things that might go wrong, and breaks and whatnot. And I was a bit like, screw the time frame. This church is amazing. I want to sit here. So I did. I sat in there. It was beautiful. I had a little cry in that church. I'm not going to lie. It was a very peaceful church. It evoked a lot of emotions, and I shed a lot of shit in that church. I was very grateful for the space. It was, some churches are like quite overwhelming, and there's some you go in and it feels like the air is just like still. And I walked in and it was like, whoa, I sit down. And I did. I was very grateful. And I had a little look around the area outside in the little churchyard and some very pretty little features. Apparently, there's like a window that's in there that has been made out of one single block of sandstone. It was pretty cool. Um, and when I go to like these pretty places and I spend time there, or like churches and churchyards and and all the other places that we can possibly be. These old. There was another cool place that was quite nearby. There was like an abandoned church, actually, way out of the way. Um, but anyway, when I go to these places, sometimes like photos just don't cut it. They don't cut what you've experienced. Oh, it's just a photo of a church. Oh, it's just a photo of a church. Another photo of a church. Another photo of a rock. Another photo of a seascape. Another photo of a tree. It doesn't always quite encapsulate the experience that I find. They never look as good as your eyeballs have looked at it, do they? Photos. You see this beautiful like sunset, or there's the sea and there's the trees, and then you take a photo of it and it looks nothing like what your eyes are seeing. Maybe my eyes are just wrong, but it never looks as good as what I see. And it's like, oh. So I try to find things, like I'm always trying to be quite mindful of, of things. And I try and take, maybe a leaf or a stick. Like there's, if I see a stick. And I was kind of, hoping to get something from this church, Culbone's church, which was dedicated actually to Saint Bono. I want to say Bono. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, if I'm honest, because when I first read it a few years ago, I read it as Bueno. It's like spelt like Bueno, but the E and the U are the other way around. So it's not Bueno. Kept saying it as Bueno for years. No, and it's not Bueno. It's Bono. It's Bono. Bono? Please correct me if anybody knows how to spell it. Say it. I know how to spell it. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Bono. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, this guy was pretty cool. I looked him up as well. I went on like a big research tangent after this church because it was such a pretty little space. I like put some little things, maybe here. Ooh, look, there's a big blank space here that I could put things in. Ooh, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Or I'll just put little links in the comments if I can't be bothered. But yeah, the church, it was cool. It was in Culbone, or it was Culbone's church, but it was dedicated to Saint Bono, a Welsh guy. He was the patron saint of like sick children, I think. Which is, that's a nice thing to be a saint of, isn't it? Sick children. But he had a big thing about curlews. It was a thing. And I don't know if you know this. Like, there's loads of stories intertwined with just this one little trip to the church. It's amazing. So I don't know if you know, but apparently curlew nests. If you don't know what a curlew is, it's a bird, by the way. And they have like these very pointy, bendy beak things. Very pretty. Their eggs are very pretty. And apparently their nests are on the ground. Well, they ground nests, but their nests are really hard to find. And it's to do with the guy whose this church is dedicated to. Apparently, he lived just near off the coast of Anglesey for a period of time, I think, and so there's like a bit of the sea in between Wales and Anglesey. Again, I don't know if you know about Anglesey, but it's like it's attached. It's part of Wales, but it's not attached. Like this, I'm sure it is under the ground. There's like a small bit of sea in between Wales and Anglesey, and the tide goes in and out, and sometimes it's more accessible than others, and all the stuff. But he used to walk along a bit of like sea that was like very shallow, apparently, to get to his sermons, to go and do his thing, to do his preachings and do his things. This holy man, Saint Bono, not Bueno. Saint Beuno. And this was like in the 6th or 7th century, and he used to take his little book to his sermons and things that he'd written, and book of universal wisdom. And in the 6th century, like, books, I'm imagining, were very hard to fucking come by. Very hard. And to write in them as well would have been, quite difficult, I imagine. Not as easy as just like jotting shit down now. Like, oh, have you got a pen? Yeah, sure, mate. Like, no, it wouldn't be that easy. Anyway, he was on his way back, or whatever. Yeah, he was on his way back from doing a sermon, and dropped his fucking book in the sea. Could you imagine that? I'd totally be that guy. Drop my most precious thing in the sea. Like, anyway, so that's what he was pretty much doing. He was like, shit, my book. Like, I dropped it in the sea. And apparently, according to the story, a curlew came down and picked it up and took it off, and he went in search to the shore and found the curlew standing over his book, like out of the way of the tide. It was like it was out of the way of the water, and so he was so grateful to this curlew for like saving his book, his precious, precious book, with all his words of universal wisdom in, like to do his sermons and do the thing. That he got down onto his knees and prayed for protection and favour of the curlew. And so apparently that's why the nests are so hard to find, apparently, thanks to Saint Beuno, the guy that this church was dedicated to. And so when I came out of the church, as I was saying earlier, I like to find a little leaf, or try to be mindful of where I'm stepping. I don't want to be trashing the place and be disrespectful. And when I'm in these kinds of places, I'm always on the lookout for, a little stone that's shaped in a certain way, or a leaf that's a pretty colour, or, nothing too, that's of the place, but is in the place. Something that, could blow away on its own, or rot down, or get away. I'm not talking about, like, I'm going to take this big boulder. If it fits in the palm of my hand, I'll take it, and it resonates. Or a feather. I usually find a lot of feathers. Some cool feathers. And this time, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't find anything. Like, there was just nothing that was calling to me. And I was just like, oh, okay. Not going to have to take anything to remember this place by. Oh, that's fine. That's okay. I'll just have to remember it a lot. And I'd already typed the name in my phone so that I could research it, when I stopped walking and done the thing. I'd already, like, planned on at least doing some research on it. It was so beautiful. And just as I was leaving, like, so to get into the church, it's got like this perimeter of stones, like, of the wall, but they're like old stones. They're like, I mean, it must have been at least partly original, I think. It looked really old. And it was, the dry stone walling type thing, the old fashioned walls. And just in, like, in the cross section of the little stones, there was this big bunch of snapdragons. It wasn't this bunch, don't panic. I didn't just take snapdragons with me. There was a beautiful bunch of snapdragons just in the wall, like, thriving in this wall. Just as you went out, like, it was like one of the, the walkers' styles to get in and out of the church bit. I was like, oh, wow. And I'd already been gifted some beautiful snapdragon seeds. I'd already had some white ones. Somewhere down there. They're in another pot. I brought those with me too. I'd already been gifted some beautiful white snapdragon seeds, and they were thriving in my garden already. And I was like, oh, snapdragons, but look at the colour of them. They're beautiful. And I was like, well, obviously I'm not going to just take the snapdragons. I'm not going to pick any of the flowers, because they're not mine. The guys are there for the bees, and they're making the place look pretty. And, dragons, snapdragons, quite, protective. So I'm assuming that they were part of the protective boundary of the church. But what happens with snapdragons is they get like little seedy shaker pod things when they've finished flowering, and there was one little like seedy thing, and I was like, oh, maybe I could take a little like seed pod, like maybe I could just shake it and see what's going to happen. And so I did the thing. I was like asking for permission. I was like, universe, please, if I'm allowed to take some of these seeds, I will very gratefully grow them in my garden and continue on these plants in my space. So I gave it a little shake, a little tap, like Snapdragons, and they did. And like, I've never seen so many seeds come out of a little thing. Not a Snapdragon one, anyway. Yeah, and so I put them in a little. I had my little book with me, my little like journal thing. So I took a piece of paper and I like made a little envelope and I put the seeds in, kept it safe. Took them on the walk with me. For the rest of the walk, I kept checking them every day that they were safe. And I took them home and planted them. And yeah, they came out like this. And then I even moved house with them. I even took them when I moved house. And I found this cool chimney pot in this house and put them in there. So you're in the way, little lad. And yeah, I found this cool chimney pot and put them in there. And that's the story of how my Snapdragons came to be. It's pretty cool, right? So when I look at them now, I come out and have my coffee in the dawning. And I sit and I enjoy my garden. I'm very blessed and privileged to have. And yeah, I kind of went on a little time travel, like just looking at them, like remembered the whole walk and the whole adventure and the crumbling cliffs and the St. Bono funny thing in my head as to how I'd read it wrong because it looks like Bueno, but it's not Bueno. And then the beautiful church and yeah, and me trying to keep these little seeds in a little handmade envelope safe and all that from the side, looking at my little flowers. Oh, beautiful. Much better than a photo of the church, don't you think? That, I probably would never look at again anyway. It'd be stored on a folder somewhere and I'd just take more photos and those photos would take priority over the ones from however many years ago. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to doing the rest of the walk. I won't lie. I've done the first week. Who knows? Maybe that'll be my next adventure, doing the second week of the Southwest Coast stuff. Yeah. And there you go. I still have some of the seeds, actually. If anybody would like some, please comment. Like, I have some. I have some of these seeds still. These beautiful Snapdragons from Culbone Church in Somerset. Porlock Weir, I think. That's the place. Maybe. I don't know. A bit sketchy on the details. But yeah, if anybody would like some of these Snapdragon seeds, beautiful fuchsia. Should we go with fuchsia? Pink? What do you think? I'm going to put it up right close. I mean, these are actually not fresh, but please tell me. Pink, purple, fuchsia. Fuchsia. I like the word fuchsia. Yeah, if you would like some of these very precious Snapdragon seeds, please drop me a comment in the little thing. And I'd be very happy to send you some. I'd be very happy to send you a little, little spoonful of seeds. No, it wouldn't be a spoonful. It would be, I don't know. I couldn't count them. Yeah, if you want some. They're very precious. They're very special, I would say. Coming all the way from that beautiful old church. That's in the Doomsday Book. It's in the Doomsday Book, apparently. I haven't read the Doomsday Book, so I don't know if that's technically true. But when I did do the research about the church, it did say it was in the Doomsday Book. So there you go. It's that old. But yeah, drop me a comment if you would like some of these beautiful seeds. I will be happy to post you some. Very happy. It would make me very happy to know that these seeds are getting around and that they are. Oh, hello. You're a funny looking bird. I got distracted there. That's a massive bird that I have not seen before. I think it was like, I don't even know what that was. Anyway, distracted. I'm surprised I ever get anything done if I sit in this garden. But yeah, drop me a comment if you want some of these beautiful seeds. Beautiful Snapdragons from Culbone Church, dedicated to St. Beuno, the protector of curlews. Wow. Yeah, let me know. Thank you for listening to my story about my Snapdragon.